Welcome back to the National Defense. It's Randy Miller, and we're back with one of our favorite guys. Alec Baldwin is here, of course, a huge military supporter and the son of a drill sergeant. So, Alec, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It's still, we've had a pretty strong winter here in New York. So today is a little warmer and rainy, but man, it's been cold here. It's been like in the 20s for like 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
A real winter this year, very cold winter this year, which I don't really mind. But I have 7 children, so that's always a factor, the weather.
Well, we were looking it up. It's been a little over 4 years since you've been on the show with us.
Uh-huh.
Anything happen in your life big time in that period?
During those 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a few issues I've been dealing with these last 4 years. Yeah.
How many kids ago was that?
That's funny. Probably one, two, three kids ago. In the intervening 4 years, we've had 3 kids. Yeah.
Well,
It's
congratulations.
it's like rings of a tree. We guess the age of my life. We
That's right.
measure the years of my life by my children, by my 7 children. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I've been dealing with that situation in New Mexico, which was very
Yep.
painful, very
Yep.
difficult.
Sure.
But that's behind me now, thank God.
Yes.
And I'm hopefully going to move on in certain ways. And just I really haven't worked very much these last 3 years, which is great because being home and raising my kids. I know that a lot of the people who you work with, I mean, I always remember this from my friends when I was younger who were in the military, who enlisted or went ROTC and so forth.
Mm.
That one factor about military life is being away from home
Sure. Yeah.
and missing your family. And I just can't even imagine how difficult that must be because I'm away from my kids one night and I'm miserable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
So my heart goes out to everybody in the U.S. military and beyond who are missing their family right now.
And it's like we always say, everybody serves. Everybody serves in a family, and
Well,
most of the time, though, Alec, we're talking to Alec Baldwin here on National Defense. Most of the time, you get that many kids, you got to do a reality show.
well, I wasn't that eager to do a reality show with my family. I must say that was not on my bucket list. But my wife convinced me because you think a movie might be where you're at if you're lucky, or a play if it's the right role for you, your age, and so forth. I'm getting a little bit older now. But the truth of the matter was, when I sat down and accepted the fact that this is what I'm doing now,
Right.
this is the project I'm working on now.
Right.
Certain difficulties in my life kind of crushed my career for a while and work opportunities. And I was home these past 3.5 years, most of the time, nearly all of the time, I'm home. I take my kids to school every morning. I drive them out to Brooklyn, blah, blah, blah. And this is the project I'm working on. So when we decided to do this show, I thought, well, I'm not pretending,
Right.
I'm not pretending I like my kids and I want to spend time with them. I do like my kids and I do spend an inordinate amount of time with them.
Might as well get paid
And
for it.
well, I might as well get paid. We're not getting paid a lot of money here, but it's enough to pay for ice cream for my kids for the summer. So,
So this show, The Baldwins, it starts February 23rd on TLC. 7 kids, 6 pets, and the cameras just following you around everywhere. That's and I understand that John from John and Kate Plus 8 told you not to do it. Is that right?
well, I heard about that. It wasn't like he contacted me directly,
Sure.
but I remember reading somewhere that they had said that he was giving us this advice. Listen, I think that in terms of public life, doing films and TV and living that life where your private life is somewhat public,
Yeah.
you can certainly do a better job than I've done of keeping it private. But my point is that the I've had the worst of it.
Yeah.
Whatever they're going to say about me,
Right.
and doing a reality show. What I'll never forget when I did Hollywood Squares, because the family that owned that from King and his family that owned Hollywood Squares, they offered my mother's charity a lot of money, and they wrote an article on in the magazine or something, or something where they said the final nail in Alec Baldwin's career coffin about Hollywood Squares. Well, then I hosted Match Game for 3 seasons.
You were great
I
on Match
kept
Game, man. I love Match Game.
I had more fun doing match. See, the thing is, you can go do jobs like films, let's say, that are very challenging, you might have an opportunity to make a good film in terms of the overall, because you're not the whole thing, and your performance. You have that chance every now and then. But those opportunities were diminishing. So I thought to myself, I'm not going to do Match Game to protect what? And of course, with Match Game, like with the Capital One Bank commercials I did for 5 years, we gave all the money to charity,
Mm.
my wife and I. But those were tributaries of income for me to give to mostly arts related charities. And so, I mean, I didn't have a problem with it at all. The repercussions of the reality show don't really matter to me very much.
Well, it seemed like, especially on Match Game, and you can tell when somebody's doing something and having a good time with it and enjoying themselves. And that's what always makes it great for the listener, for the viewer, for whoever's consuming that. But it just seemed like you guys were having such a great time. Were you drunk the entire time?
I'm a non-drinker. This month of February that we're in now, it's 40 years for me. 40 years of being a non-drinker. When I was
Wow.
partying, when I was a kid and I was young, we were in New York and somebody else was always doing the driving. In 1983, I went out to LA to plant my flag out there and try to get some work. And you were behind the wheel of a car. And I never was much of a driver when I was a kid. And I'm out there in a car every day. And we were all, shall we say, a bit happy by the end of the day. We were very happy, you know. We're super happy.
Right.
And driving around LA happy. Shit-faced happy, I'll say. And and that had to stop. So I stopped. I just stopped drinking many years ago because I was driving a car in California for quite a while.
Do you happen to know Tim Matheson?
I know of him. I know of him.
Yeah.
I'm a
So
great fan because
yeah,
Animal House is one of my favorite movies.
me too, man. And we just had him on the show. He just wrote his memoir called "Damn Glad to Meet You," and I'm reading the book, and it's so remarkable that life as an actor because you could have a huge hit and then not work again. I mean, it's just so unpredictable.
Well, the business is tougher now than ever because when I went out there in the '80s, you went to go meet casting directors, and the directors of films, the producers of films, they relied on casting directors who at least cull the herd. You know what I mean? Get rid of the ones that are just not right for the
Right.
part, age wise, looks wise, whatever. And you go in and meet a woman. I always remember there were two women who were these legendary casting directors, Jane Jenkins and Janet Hershenson. And everybody called them Jane and Janet. And the two of them were huge casting directors doing movies constantly. So when you went in to meet them and you'd leave and they'd say, he's not right for this part, but he's right for this other part in another movie we're doing. He's right for Steve. And whatever. And so they remembered you, and that face-to-face casting thing was indelible. Now there's very little face-to-face
Oh, I
casting at
bet.
all.
I'll
It's
bet.
all a lot of submissions and tapes and stuff like that, and files that are emailed. And I'm a huge opponent of that. I think we have to get back to face-to-face casting. The sooner the better, because I don't think it's fair to the actors. But I remember, going out there and you had to, introduce yourself to the town. They got to know you, and then it's word of mouth. And now it's not as personal as it was.
Right.
I think it's a very tough time for people to break into the business. When I got in, it was a bit easier, I must say.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they did not want Tim Matheson as Otter. They wanted Chevy Chase, and John Landis fought for him, and that's how he
Oh God,
ultimately got the role
he's
of his
so
career.
velvety.
Oh,
Tim Matheson in that movie,
oh,
he you see Tim Matheson is one of those guys, very handsome guy, leading man when he was younger, but he was one of those guys where he didn't have to say anything and you started laughing already.
right, right. Oh,
You know?
just about everybody in that movie's the same way.
Yeah,
And
everybody.
uh,
He
uh,
was perfect because he didn't open his mouth and you started cracking up.
well, it's
You
kind of
kind of knew what was coming.
it's kind of like you on Saturday Night Live. I mean, every time I see you on SNL, I just almost start laughing because I know there's going to be something good coming. And obviously, for the 50th anniversary, I'm sure you're going to be back for that.
Yeah, that's
Um,
coming up in a couple weeks. Yeah,
and you had what 17 times you lead the pack in hosting?
17 times. Yeah, back in the day. I
That's
haven't done it in a
fantastic.
while because then I went. I used to have this fantasy. I'd say, "Oh God, I wish I was in the cast of Saturday Night Live." And then during that first Trump run in 2016, I was in the
You're
cast of
right.
Saturday Night
Right.
Live.
Yeah.
I was there every night for the first year, most nights the second year, half the nights the third and fourth year. There were not as many, but it was really it was an incredible experience. I mean, 'cause I love them; they're like family to
Oh
me.
man.
And yeah, so I've been in and out of that building forever.
Yeah, I just heard you on with Dana and David
Right,
Spade. That was great. Just kind of remembering those moments.
Fly on the Wall. That's their podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Flying on the wall. Well, you're so the first time you hosted SNL was 1990.
Yes,
Do you remember who the musical guest was?
I don't. I don't.
The B-52s.
Oh, well, it was them. Yeah. Okay.
And you
Cool.
also had McCartney and you had Whitney at
We
various
had
times.
Whitney. Yeah. Whitney Houston, who I walked up to her after her band rehearsal, after her sound check rehearsal. They do that on a Thursday, and she just was so captivating, and she was so ravishing. She was a ravishing woman,
Right.
gorgeous woman. And I walked up to her and I go, "My God, you really are the most talented woman out there." And she looks at me in the eye and she goes, "I know, baby," and walks away. She goes, "I know, baby."
That's great.
And I thought, well, Whitney, Whitney, Whitney. But
Yeah.
she was an amazing human being.
How about your interaction with Paul McCartney?
Well, Paul is someone I met there and got to be pals with him and his wife. Then Linda died. He got remarried to Heather, got divorced, married Nancy. And I've known Paul off and on and seen him because we're neighbors outside the city periodically. But any one of those guys, either in movies or TV or music, you got to kind of pick up where you left off because they're off, they go. And no one like those musicians, you know what I mean? They're in Brazil
Right.
and then they go on world tours and carve up the continents, and then they go off and do that. And some of the actors I've known has been a little bit easier. I see them more regularly. You see them at award shows or
Mm-hmm.
openings and so forth. But I mean, I've had that very peripatetic and pick up where you left off relationship with many people in this business. It's
Sure.
got to be that way. If you can't do it that way, then you're going to struggle a little bit. Like I'd see Bill Macy. I made 3 movies with Bill Macy, and I'd see Bill. Hold on one second. Are you coming? Come. Sorry. Want to push this seat back, Mike? Hold on one second.
I feel like we're part of the reality show.
No, we're good. We're good. This is part of the reality show. These are the outtakes. So, you want to slide the chair back? Can you push that chair back? Yeah, push the button and come back further. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Keep. Okay. You want to do it more, please? Do a little bit more. Hold on a second. Okay, there you go. Great. Bill Macy, I make 3 films with him. I love Bill. And the same thing, I don't see him for like 4 or 5 years. Hug, hug, kiss, kiss. I mean, that's how it's got to be, you know?
That's pretty cool. So SNL, if we just get back to that for a second, you had so many great characters on there. What's your favorite?
I think always the weirdest, the better.
Yeah.
My favorite one, I did a sketch called Saddam's Lawyers. And I played Saddam Hussein. And my lawyers are in a waiting room in the prison. And I walk in and I stand there and I glare at them for like 5 seconds. Then I say, "Great job, fellas." I've been sentenced to die. And when they gave me that to do, I was wetting my pants laughing. So anything that's like weird, they want me to, you come on the show and they want you to play Saddam Hussein. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready. The weirder the better. The weirder
Yeah,
the better.
yeah. I mean, for me, you can't beat sweaty balls, but
People like that one. Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's a good one. And I mean, we've had a bunch of them that are really, really funny. I mean, the one where I'm dying in World War I or something. I'm in a foxhole and I'm
yeah.
dying, and I grab I grab one guy who's a member of my unit and tell him to go back home and tell all these people these horrible things I thought about them. Nothing's positive, nothing's loving or kind. I'm like, go back and tell my wife I never loved her. Whatever. I'm going, like I've been shot. But just stupid. I mean, the reason you go there is to have fun.
Right,
And that's
right.
why I kept going back, because movie making was fun sometimes, but mostly challenging, not as much fun. 30 Rock was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
But from 1990 to 2006, that's 16 years, I don't do that much comedy. So SNL was where I would go repeatedly to have fun
Yeah.
because a lot of the stuff you do is it's not as much fun, and SNL is nothing but fun.
Cool.
It's incredible.
We're talking to Alec Baldwin here in the National Defense. Are you pretty close still with your brother Stephen?
Yeah, I talk to Stephen all the time. He's upstate New York.
Okay. Well, I hope you gave him some shit about his very short appearance on Special Forces.
Well, what was this? What happened there?
Well, you know, Special Forces is where they have celebrities come on and you train like a Special Forces group. He didn't last an entire episode.
Well, then what happened? Why?
Something with his back and his neck, and he said, "I got to get out of here." And
he tapped out.
Yeah, tapped out. I mean, and I just thought at that time, what would your drill sergeant dad have thought of, you know, Stephen at that point?
He might have cut him a pass because it was his youngest child. But so Stephen was always very physically tough. All my brothers, my brother Daniel, tough guy. Could have played pro ball if he was more interested in training and taking care of himself. He wasn't always wasn't always the most healthy guy. My brother Billy wrestled and was still involved for years with collegiate wrestling sports, and he went to Binghamton. And my brother Stephen was a gymnast. He didn't play lacrosse or baseball or basketball or football. He wasn't a team sport guy. He was an individual sport guy. And but he was very fit and strong and everything. But we're all getting older. Trust me, we're all getting older.
Well, and that's what Stephen said on the show. He said, "Listen, man, I'm 58." He said, "You know, there's only a certain amount of life left in this body." So he was pretty good. Hey, we've talked about, Alec, you know, a lot of your military parts, and of course played Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Doolittle in Pearl Harbor. And I went back, though, somebody mentioned a film that you made that I went back and watched, and it was fantastic. And you were great in it, The Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers.
Oh, God. And are you trying to rib me here, man? What are you
No,
doing?
no, no, no. I'm
totally. You trying to work on me here, man? What are you doing here, man?
Totally serious.
Cat in the Hat was supposed to be a fun, silly movie, and then, like a lot of movies, everybody gets nervous because the budget gets out of control. Or I wouldn't say the word out of control, but everything got to be like, you know, it got more expensive than people were planning. Never a good thing in a movie. They don't really want to. Sometimes they'll spend more money, but they don't want to spend a lot more money.
Right.
And Cat in the Hat became, there were a lot of chit chat about budget and overruns and this and that. But I had fun for one reason. I mean, a bunch of reasons. I love Bo Welsh. Bo Welsh, one of the great set designers in history.
I was going to ask you about the set design.
Catherine O'Hara's husband, Bo Welsh, he goes and directs Cat in the Hat. It was his first feature he directed. And Bo Welsh, lovely guy. But you want to know the real thing I always remember about that movie? Was Kelly Preston, Travolta's wife.
Oh, sure.
She was truly the loveliest woman I've ever worked with in the movie business. Beautiful as the day is long. Gorgeous woman. Like, gorgeous woman. And I mean, one of the most beautiful women in the business. I'm going to get out of this car. So you hang in there with me. We're having a real New York interview here.
Hey,
we're on the street. I'll see you tomorrow, buddy. Yep.
I hope this makes it on the reality show.
What does Travolta have that I don't have? You know, she was just such a great lady.
Where were you going?
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Where are you headed?
I'm going to my office here in New York to get some work done while my kids are coming home from school. Yeah, I want to run up to my office real quickly. I'm just making.
You're fine.
Now, where are you calling from? Where are you?
Oh, yeah. I reminded you the other day, Kansas City, Missouri.
Where are you? St. Louis?
Kansas City, the home of the world champion.
Where are you again?
Kansas City. Yeah.
Oh my God. Now, how are you? Everybody feeling there?
Oh, listen.
They excited?
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you a funny story. This is how crazy this town is. Okay, I took my wife in for her colonoscopy today. While we're in a waiting room, the Kansas City Chiefs mascot, Casey Wolf, comes in and shows up. I am not kidding you. It was great.
Now, is the town going crazy?
Oh, man. You can, you go crazy when you go to the Super Bowl once. On the third time, you don't think of anything else. You're
Sorry.
just absolutely out of your mind. Yeah.
I think I locked myself out of my office.
Oh, oh no.
I'm not kidding.
This
Hold
has
on.
to be part of the reality show.
Wait, wait, wait. We got okay, great. Okay, so here we are.
You-
I have an office downtown near my apartment, but I don't get here as often as I'd like with the kids. Now, I want to talk to you. Do you mind if I propose something?
no, please propose.
Uh,
You want to move to Kansas?
about,
You want to move to Kansas City?
I mean, no, I don't actually. I like New York because it's easy. I like New York because I like New York because I know New York. I like New York because I know New York. I've been here forever, and it's a lot easier for me to live here. But one thing I find interesting is this idea. Your audience is a military audience, correct?
Active duty military veterans and their families. Absolutely.
They do, and you probably have what kind of a listenership?
About 3 million.
How many?
3 million.
Wow.
We're on Armed Forces Radio Network. We're on over 400 stations around the country. And we've been doing this for about 10 years. So it's a big audience. It's a nice audience.
The people who are in the military, what do you think they want people, civilians, to understand or believe about their circumstance? What do they want them to know, do you think?
What a great question. And I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday. The thing that people think about people in the military, they stereotype them and they think, well, you can't talk about this because they're not going to like that. These are people. These are people. And they are doing an extraordinary job under extraordinary circumstances. But these are people that have the same likes, dislikes, tastes, desires, entertainment levels of everybody else. And that's why we started this show, to be honest with you, was to kind of give these folks a taste of entertainment, humor, resources. That's our mission. And so I think if they could request that anybody know anything about them, it's just that hey, listen, we're people. You know, don't treat us any.
We have a unique job,
Yeah,
but we're people.
exactly.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
Because I always say to people, I always say when I was a kid, and I might have said this on your show before. If I did, I apologize. But when I was a kid and I was coming out of high school, so I was going to graduate in the spring of '76. We're getting ready to fill out these applications in the spring of '75 to go ROTC. And I'm going to go ROTC in the Air Force because I thought if I'm going to join the service,
sure.
I want to walk away from there learning something. And I'm going to learn how to fly a plane. And then I think I mentioned to you, my dad was the smart one. He had been a DI on PI with the Marines. And my dad said, you realize, then the war shut down, 75 August.
Right.
It's over. And my dad said, you realize now that they've reduced, that now that the war's over, they're going to cut back on the number of pilots they train. There's fewer seats in these
Oh.
fighters. We're not at war anymore. They're going to cut that back. They're going to train less people. It's going to be more competitive. You may fill out the application and not get into a plane. You might not make it. You might get bumped out because you don't make the cut. And I thought about it. That's what made me not go ROTC. I backed out because I thought, well, I want to go fly a plane. And then the war was over anyway. But to this day, I see people in New York. You're always seeing sailors. It's that special day they have. What's that called again in New York?
Fleet Week.
What's it called? Fleet Week. Yeah,
Yeah.
they got Fleet Week. You see these guys everywhere, and you can't help but have this tremendous pride. I'm not a war monger. I'm not a big,
Sure.
whatever you want to call it. But I do nonetheless like to think that America, if we had any problems, we still had a good chance to take care
Yeah.
of ourselves.
You know who hates wars the most? The people in the military.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
But I'm on the USS Salt Lake City, and Tom, oh God, he's an admiral, and he's the admiral now. Tom, it'll come to me with an F, I believe. He was the captain of the Salt Lake City, the attack class nuclear submarine that we rehearsed on it for Hunt for Red October,
Oh, wow.
and then he became an admiral for the Pacific Fleet. I met him in Pearl Harbor at the screening at the debut of Pearl Harbor,
Oh,
the
wow.
movie. And Tom, I said to him, if the Americans got into a war with the Russians, do you really think we'd win? And he said, "Oh God, yeah." I said, "Why do you say that so reflexively? Like, what makes you say that?" He said, "The people."
Yeah.
He said, "We have the best people. We
Yeah.
have the best people, the best trained people." He said, "It's the people that will make the difference." And I'll never forget he said that to me. Tom
Yeah.
Fargo.
Tom
Tom
Fargo.
Fargo.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
I just went to a conference, did the show from a conference in DC called the AUSA conference. And I'd never been there. And there were 55,000 people there. And it's all vendors for the military, for the Army specifically. And I'm looking around at these giant drones, things that capture drones, all of this artillery, all this. It's all new, and I'm going. Should we have this out in public? I mean, it was. But at the same time, you looked around and you said, "God, are we lucky? Are we lucky?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
When I
stuff.
was on that ship, we only stayed overnight. We took a helicopter. They dropped us down. Or did we take a boat? Or maybe we took a boat. And we went out and got on the con of the submarine, went inside and spent the night there. And it was one of the most thrilling experiences of my life.
Yeah.
Because in movie making, where it's like a big ticket movie where they have the money to pay, they have the access to reach these people. The the places you can go, the places you get a chance to, the things you get a chance to see, is just probably the most remarkable side benefit of movie making.
That's pretty
And
cool.
we went to New London to watch them, where they were manufacturing submarines. We went to Point Loma and dove and went into the Salt Lake City. And you just really, really are thrilled by knowing that such great people have chosen to do this with their lives, because not all of us do that.
Well, yeah,
I mean, I thought about it and I wanted to do it, but I didn't.
less than
So
1%, less than 1% of the population. And it's funny, those same kind of sentiment was echoed by Demi Moore. We had her on talking about GI Jane, and
yeah,
she said, just being around to live in a barracks, to train. She said, I thought I was in excellent physical shape, and I did my first 5 a.m. 2 mile run, and I went behind a building and just threw my guts up.
yeah.
I mean,
They
that's
had us go for Pearl Harbor. I wasn't available, but they had them go to Dothan, Alabama, to go to the do fixed blade and
oh yeah,
we
yeah,
would
yeah.
do all this training there. They put me in the simulator for a helicopter, and I crashed and died probably 35 times. I mean, I was dead. I just kept crashing. I needed more time. I
Hey,
needed more time, fellas. I needed more rehearsal. It doesn't come to me quickly. So, but really, every time you're around that, every time you're around the real ball bearings of the U.S. military, you always walk away impressed. Always impressed.
we're talking to Alec Baldwin here in the National Defense. You ask about what other things that the military would like people to know, and I think the other part of that, which is getting a lot better, is when they transition out, they want a job. They want a job, and they want you to recognize that the skills that they had in the military easily transfer to any job you got. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he said he went to an interview, and the interviewer said, "Well, we really respect loyalty. Can we count on you to be loyal?" And he said, "Well, in my last job, I would have taken a bullet for my boss. So yeah, yeah, I'm going to be pretty loyal." Because he was in the
Yeah.
military. And
Right.
I'm kicking around this idea, Alec. Tell me what you think about this. Um, there are 3 million veteran owned businesses in the U.S. I want to do a show called The American Dream because that's all they want. And I want it to be like a kind of a Shark Tank for veteran owned businesses, a TV show.
Mhm.
You want to host it?
Are you inviting? You want me to host it?
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
set it up. You call me when you get it.
Absolutely.
When you get it. So,
Well, I
listen, I
thought,
think anything where you're asking Americans to buy from veterans businesses.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
no.
that's my big thing. It's not just a
Yeah.
buy America thing.
Yeah.
That's a little too loosely stated.
Right. Right.
What about you buy from an index? You get a database of veterans businesses, and you
Right.
help support American veterans by buying their
I
product. That
love.
I love that idea.
I love it. Well,
But when
what?
you want to do a Shark Tank, all
Yeah,
I want to know is this: you and I don't have to get rich, but is there the chance we can get rich? Is there a chance?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Is there
And
a
I and I and
chance
I think
we
your
can get
I
rich?
think your production company should produce it.
Should do it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll talk. We'll talk. I noticed how well, I did the Trump thing on SNL for 4 years, and it
Excellent.
really scarred me. Because I do use my hands like this all the time. And I'm like, we need to do the show, Shark Tank. Okay. And I got the hand thing going. Oh, I'm doing the Trump hand thing. I can't seem to shake it. It's very, very disturbing.
You know what's going to happen when the Baldwin's reality show starts? Everybody's going to fall in love with your wife.
Well, they already have, pal. Get in line. Get in line.
Hey,
It's the
listen, I took
bane of
my
my
wife to a
existence.
colonoscopy, so
I'm always waiting for these young guys now. They're going to be like, they look at me and they're like, and they turn to my wife and they're like, why don't you go put grandpa to bed here? And we come out with us and go have a few drinks. But my wife is really, I say this and it's so easy, is that my wife is really the greatest thing. My wife and my family are the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Because I worked and worked and worked. And I don't regret this because it was kind of its time. When you're younger, as you well know, you want to work and you want to make your way and you have dreams and goals and things. And then for me now, I'm 66 and I got a 2.5-year-old baby.
crazy.
And my oldest is 11. The thing with my family now is that it's right where I want to be.
That's great.
I love
You
my
get
wife.
that
I never
sweet
want to leave my
spot.
house. I never want to be away from my kids. I'm only going to make an exception for Shark Tank with you,
Okay.
military Shark Tank.
That's and if you want, we'll film it at your house. It's fine.
Yeah, no, 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 no. We got to go away.
There's enough
We
things
have to
being
film it
filmed.
in the Caribbean.
There you go. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turks and Caicos is my vote.
There are enough things
Anguilla,
being
a
filmed at your
big
house.
hotel in Anguilla. We can put everybody up. I think you and I need to go away.
Yeah, we
We
do.
need to go and do some scouting and some research first.
Yeah, well, you have to do the research. I mean,
Yeah,
you know that.
yeah. We want to be professionals.
You want to make a bet on the Super Bowl?
But I'll tell you, honestly, I look at players who can really change a game. And they're not always there. They're not always on the either side. I mean, Mahomes is obviously one for Kansas City. But I got to tell you, this Saquon Barkley, he's electrified this game this
He's
year.
great.
And I got my eye on him. I think if he has a good day, they may win. I mean, you can never rule out KC. They're a great team. They're a legendary
Yeah.
team. They're going to have a three-peat. Great. I mean, I really don't care in terms of that. I'm not like rooting. I wanted to see Detroit win a title. I wanted to see the Bills because I like them. I like Josh Allen. But I think with the head-to-head we have now, I think that obviously the KC's the favorite because everything changes obviously when you're in that game.
Oh yeah.
It's a different mindset. But I think that if Saquon Barkley has a good game, watch out, watch out.
Okay. How about this? So when the Chiefs win, you send me some New York delicacy. If they,
Yeah, you want that bet like the mayors used to have?
yeah, yeah,
Like Giuliani would have a bet with the mayor
right,
of San
right.
Francisco. Yeah,
Have you ever had Kansas City barbecue?
I'm a vegetarian.
Oh. Well,
I don't drink. I don't eat meat.
well
I
then
had a
that's not
girlfriend
good.
once.
Well, I'm not hanging out with you in the Caribbean then.
I'll never forget. I had a girlfriend once, and her parents were lovely people, but they were diehard Republicans. And we're having dinner, and at one point she turns to her daughter and goes, "He doesn't eat meat. He doesn't drink. He's a Democrat. What the hell are we going to talk about?" My favorite line.
Alec,
But no, I don't eat meat. But I'll have you send me. Are there any famous chocolate companies? Got to be a famous.
oh
Every big
yeah,
city has
oh
a
yeah,
famous
oh
chocolate company. Who's
Christopher
the
Elbow.
chocolate purveyor there? Who?
Christopher Elbow Chocolates also does vegan chocolates.
Well, I don't
So,
eat vegan chocolates. I just don't want to eat beef.
oh, okay. Oh, I got you.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
But
he,
Christopher Elbow,
Christopher Elbow. Yes, he is famous. Like world.
ELBOW.
Yes,
Oh wow. Okay, I'll look that up. I'll look
Christopher
that up.
Elbow. He's huge.
Well, when Philadelphia wins, you can send me some Christopher Elbow chocolate, And if KC repeats, I'll send you some Barney Greengrass, the great Jewish appetizer deli on the Upper West Side.
Ooh.
Bagels, bialys, Nova, scallion cream cheese.
What's your favorite
You're
deli
going to
there?
be
What deli you like?
Barney Greengrass. Well, I mean, I love
That's it.
a bunch of
Yeah.
Sarges and things
Yeah.
like that. But Veselka, the Ukrainian one over on Second Avenue. But I've known the Greengrass family forever. I went to college with one of them back in the day. And Barney Greengrass has been a famous fixture on the Upper West Side forever, and I love it there. It's great.
I just
We
went
go
to
there, we blow it out.
what's the famous deli in L.A.? I just went there a couple of weeks ago.
Well, there's Cantor's
Yeah, that's it.
on
Yeah,
Fairfax. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Cantor's is because
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because the other one, a couple of them closed after COVID, but Cantor's is the famous one up there on Fairfax Boulevard.
Oh my gosh, with the pastrami. Oh,
Oh, yeah. If you like that kind of food, Stage Deli closed here, Carnegie Deli closed here
yeah.
because of COVID. Some of them remained, but yeah, Cantor's is a legend. Yeah, they're great. They're great. I love Mexican food when I go to LA.
Oh yeah. What's your
I
favorite
love
there?
Mexican.
Favorite Mexican
The place
place?
I love closed. It was called Tia Juana, two words,
Ha.
Aunt Juana.
Okay.
It was on like Olympic Boulevard or Venice Boulevard, right by the 405. Homemade food,
Mm.
homemade chips, guacamole. Tia Juana. It was
Tia.
great.
Oh man, our
Legendary.
daughter lives out there in L.A.
What part of town is she in?
She is in Mid Wilshire.
Great.
And we were there because we just had our first. She gave us our first grandchild, granddaughter, and so we were out there at the very beginning of the wildfires, and it got it got scary.
Problem.
Yeah.
I had a home out there commuting back and forth from New York to LA for 30 years. And then when my daughter Ireland turned 18 in 2013, I got rid of my house there, my rental. And I don't have a place out there for the last several years, for the last 12 years, which is weird because it was such a part of my life.
Yeah.
It was half my life. And when this thing happened, this fire, I got more friends out there than I have in New York. I'm one of those guys, I'm of an age now where all my friends packed up and left New York in the 90s and moved to LA because
Yeah.
New York's too expensive.
Right. Right.
They couldn't live here. So they all moved out there. And it is absolutely crushing. I cannot even believe because that area was very like twisty, windy roads and just trees and vines growing everywhere and stuff that was, you looked at it as like a raw beauty because everything God made out there is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not everything man made out there is
Right.
beautiful.
Right. Yeah.
It's a little bit shabby there, some of the architecture, but everything God made in Southern California is gorgeous. And all those things that look beautiful and rugged and kind of a tough desert themed vegetation and everything um, became the enemy. It was tinder.
Yeah.
And the place, and they burned down the Palisades. Never in my wildest dreams. And I will say, having been in New York during 9/11, they've got to remediate that toxicity as quick as possible.
Right.
Because as people in the military know, when these bombs go off and these fires happen, it burns a lot of plastics,
You're right.
a lot of toxic
Oh,
smoke,
that.
a lot
Yeah.
of toxic material. Well, you take the World Trade Center, that gets 13 million square feet of real estate gets pulverized into an ashtray.
Right.
Then it rains and it all washes out into the harbor. So here in LA or there in LA, they need to get on that remediation as soon as possible because of the toxicity. But anyway,
Yeah, that was a big thing when we were out there. Is all of the chemicals in the air, and you had to, wear a mask everywhere. And it's just, it has a lot of people in L.A., including my daughter, thinking maybe somewhere else, maybe somewhere
well,
else.
it's right now along the coast of the ocean, Malibu and the Palisades. This is like a toxic bouillabaisse there.
Yeah.
This everything's melted into some crap that's got to get scraped out of there and gone
Right.
before they
Right.
could even begin. But you know what'll happen? I think is I think that you'll see the emergence of a completely new Palisades. They'll never go back to what it was.
Right.
They'll have a chance to change roads, drainage, water supply up there, build a fire station up
Yep.
there. It can't go back to what it was because that's not safe. And this will be the chance for this to perhaps be a model of the devastated, decimated urban area, that urban wildlife interface they keep talking about, and how we can do that differently now that we have this chance. I wish we didn't have the chance.
Right.
I wish it didn't happen. But now that it has happened, what can we learn from it and how can we adapt?
Hey, are you? You're still doing your podcast, right?
I am. I just came for doing my podcast. Yeah.
Okay. Um, it's so good, and I mentioned to you when we set this up, I just listened to you interview Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah. At the TCM Film
Oh
Festival. Yeah.
man, that was so good. That was so good. I mean, I appreciate a good conversation, obviously, and that was just so the things that he was telling you very candidly, and that was I think it's good sometimes to hear. I love to hear filmmakers talk to each other, anybody.
Well, it's easy. It's easy to do that show when you appreciate those people. I mean,
Yeah,
I have a bottomless admiration for Dustin Hoffman, and he was so kind that we were there to show a film of his. That was the joke. We opened the show. I think the screening was at 11 a.m. and we showed Lenny,
yeah.
the Bob Fosse film. And I said, we're going to mix it up here this year at the TCM Film Festival. We're going to show Lenny at 11 o'clock in the morning. And then tonight we have a midnight screening of The Sound of Music. You know, so but he would very graciously came. These guys are busy and they certainly don't need the press. And he came and sat with me. I mean, he's in that pantheon of people: Beatty, Redford,
Mm,
Newman,
mm.
Nicholson,
Hackman.
Pacino, De Niro, Dustin, Duvall, all of them, of people. Them I'm leaving out a bunch of them as well. Who these are guys who are the last great film actors slash movie stars, and who played more diverse roles. I mean, very few actors who went on to become big stars played as diverse roles as Hoffman did. He was very, very seeking in his acting.
Oh man, so good, so good. Well, Alec, thank you so much for taking the time again.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Good to
It's
see
so
you
great to
again.
talk to you.
My best to all your listeners there.
Thank
My
you.
best to everybody in the United States military,
Absolutely.
Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and beyond, Coast Guard, everything. And thank you again for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, listen, the only question I have now is what kind of mustard am I going to put on my pastrami? My New York
Uh,
pastrami.
I would go with a Reuben, actually, which would be Russian dressing,
Okay,
cheese, Swiss
I'm
cheese,
good
and
with
some
Reuben.
sauerkraut. A Reuben with extra kraut is what I would do if I were you. But
Alec, thank.
you're not gonna be happy. I'll send you some pickles as a consolation. But you get that elbow chocolate going, baby.
Okay,
Get
man.
that elbow on. Get on the internet and order it now.
Thank you, Alec. Great to talk to you, man.
You too, buddy. Thank you. Have a great evening, and thanks, pal. Thank
Thank
you.
you.